Last time we talked about tools, where to buy them, what kind of tools to purchase for your pruning needs. Today we're going to take those tools and use them on a couple of smaller trees. We're going to start off with an apple tree, a fruit tree here, and look at the aspects of pruning with that. First of all, as a reminder, make sure your tools are clean and sharp. You have your safety gloves on, you have your safety glasses on. Those are very important, prevent you from having injury through this. The other thing to keep in mind is the pruning we're going to do throughout this series really involves you keeping your feet on the ground. We're not advocating you getting up into a tree or anything like that. That takes a whole nother level of expertise. Something you should contact your local extension agent or a professional tree care company to come in and take a look at some of those issues. So we're going to get started working on this apple tree here. This is an older apple tree. So we're going to take maybe some larger branches out of this. If you have a younger tree in your yard, some of the same principles apply to it. What we want with an apple tree, especially one that you may have in your yard, if you have just a few or one, is a nice staggered branching. Scaffolding branching is another term many times folks will use for that. We want to try to maintain somewhat of a central leader through this, and that will help with getting enough light and air through so we avoid some of the diseases that we hear about on the show and some of the insect problems, and that we get more evening ripening of the fruit. So when we look at a tree, one of the first things we want to try to look for are crossing branches or diseased or broken branches. So those are the first things that we'll take out. After that, then we'll start looking at some of these more vertical branches. So one that I'm touching here, some of these that are going straight up, those are branches that we want to take out of this. Like many times when we have questions about overgrown shrub with a more mature tree or one that will require more pruning, we want to come in here and kind of take this in stages. This first year, I don't want to come in and take too much out. I'm going to take a percentage out, maybe 20% of the branches that I think are a problem out of here. And then each year follow that up. Again, early spring is probably the best time to do some of this work, but you can prune up until, maybe 4th of July without the tree suffering any damage. What you will notice many times is a reduction in fruit production those first couple of years, but larger fruit. This next section here, we're going to look at pruning small ornamental trees. And the work we do here could be done really at any sort of small tree you might have in your yard or around your landscape. So we're looking at things like redbuds, hawthorns. This is a crabapple. There's a variety of smaller trees you may have in your yard that you're using as an accent plant perhaps, or around your front door, something like that that needs periodic pruning. A couple of things we want to keep in mind when we're pruning this. Again, we're looking at crossing branches, dead branches, broken branches. Those are always, for me, kind of the top three to go after first. Get those out of the tree, and then I can start looking at pruning for shade. Some other things to keep in mind when we're doing a pruning is to make sure that we keep outside of that branch bark ridge, the little ruffled area or ridged area along between the two branches that we're going to be removing. And some other things to consider is the natural shape of the tree and how you're pruning it. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to change a spreading tree into an upright tree just through pruning. So consider that when purchasing your trees. That's an important thing to think about. When you're in the nursery, talk to your landscape professional about the kind of shape that you want, and that will help guide them in helping you select the right tree for the right space. Pruning will just kind of help eliminate some of the problems within a particular tree. It's not going to change the actual shape of a tree to fit a certain spot that you might have. Some of the things we want to look at, again, like I said before, some of these crossing branches, some of these, again, that may interfere with light and air getting into the tree. That, again, with some of these small trees, we have problems with funguses, insects, and disease that cause some of our issues here. So we want to look at this, stand back, and look for our crossing branches, our broken branches, and then start thinking about shape. The other thing I try to think about is long term. If I'm going to leave a larger branch on this tree, I'm leaving it with the idea that it's going to stay there permanently. Because once this tree matures and those branches get larger, that scar that I leave, if I do decide to take it out, it's a bigger scar, and it takes the tree a little bit more energy to compartmentalize or seal off that pruning cut. So I want to do that. I want to think about that now when I'm taking some of these branches off. Ideally, you always want to take the branches off at the smallest size possible. Our next section that we're going to look at will probably be in a couple of weeks. We're going to come back and look at some of our summer maintenance pruning. We like to do some of that in the 4th of July period, not much later than that. And that's when we're going to look at things like suckers or water sprouts. And again, any kind of damage that may have happened to the tree from these summer thunderstorms that we're likely to get, or hopefully we'll get. Then the other thing we'll look at again is maybe some of the issues that we missed earlier. We all get busy in the garden and in the lawn, and sometimes we miss some of those opportune moments. So this will be kind of our one last chance to do some of our pruning.